So hopefully you've had a better Thanksgiving holiday than this one. While we were celebrating last week, Dr. Anthony Fauci was deposed in a lawsuit alleging collusion with big tech over COVID mandates. Missouri's Attorney General revealing this great Fauci flip-flop during a 7-hour deposition, finding Fauci told a friend that masks are ineffective back in February of 2020. Here to react is Fox News medical contributor Dr. Marty Makary. So on this flip-flop, Dr. Makary, I'm trying to remember my timeline. There was a moment where Fauci was also saying publicly that masks didn't work, and then he changed his tune, I guess, both privately and publicly?
That's right. And for months, he believed in the surface transmission model. That is, if you washed your hands like crazy, you'd have protection when you go see grandmother. And you know what? It's okay to be wrong in science every now and then, but he's in charge of doing the definitive science. He has $45 billion at the NIH and $5 billion at his agency. Do the study in 24 hours to tell the American people it is spread by airborne transmission, not surfaces. We just got the study that vitamin D saves lives. Why is that out now and not done in the first week of this pandemic? That is his ultimate failure. And he's done it with masks and natural immunity, vaccine boosters in young, Paxlovid in vaccinated people, and even the bivalent vaccine. We don't have a clinical trial.
You know, Dr. Makary, I remember, I think I was guest hosting for Jesse Waters sometime in, let's call it 21. And I did like 5 truths about COVID. And every single one of them were called a conspiracy. Every single one since that time have been proven or borne out to be true. And so when it comes to masks or anything else, Fauci, the allegation is Fauci and the government, the CDC, the NIH, played such an active role in manipulating, through big tech, what we knew to be true.
Well, look, he could have commissioned the definitive studies rapidly to answer all these big questions. They could have been answered with clinical trials, but instead he chose to rule by opinion and squash differing opinions, and they did that through big tech. You know, we used to be able to use Google in our research team to study scientific questions, but we can't anymore because it's so curated. It's giving such an establishment point of view, and any good research is buried so low on vaccine complications or natural immunity or you name it. It is so, they're colluding, and they clearly did that with the lab leak. That's now public information. That's not a secret.
So, Dr. Makary, is it that those studies are buried? So here's a big question for the United States of America, for everyone watching. What are the long-term effects of the COVID vaccine? Have we not done those studies? Are they impossible to access? Are they simply suppressed by big technology? Because right now it appears there's a total lack of curiosity in the medical establishment of the country.
Well, if you look on social media, you're basically given an establishment answer and sort of given the message, don't ask these questions. Pfizer and Moderna, by the way, are in violation of their FDA agreement to do post-marketing studies, post-approval studies. They're delinquent in turning those in. And there's this sort of frowning in academic, why are you looking at vaccine complications? That could cause someone to choose not to get vaccinated. That's not the ultimate test of science. The test of science is what's the truth. So we got a study a couple weeks ago that found that heart injury, which is subclinical, that is, you don't have any symptoms, but the heart is injured in a mild way, causing a molecule called troponin to leak into your blood system. And that was as high as in 3.5% of people after the second dose of the vaccine. You can't even find that study online, even though it was published in a reputable journal by a good research team.
Well, you just said, that's by the way, that is really good information for everybody listening that you're not going to find in very many places. You did describe it as subclinical. How do you explain this? This goes to a curiosity from a conversation we had yesterday. Another truth is that all-cause mortality in the United States is up. And by some estimates from the funeral sector, 15 to 20% year over year. And it's an aberration. It's not normally like this. How is that explained?
Well, there's going to be a lot of ideas floating around to try to unpack this. Some ideas so far have been a combination of substance abuse deaths. People do die from economic despair and loneliness. Loneliness and social isolation in a profound way affect your body's physiologic reserve and can even hasten death in people who are otherwise comorbid. And there may be something to the cardiac deaths. Remember, Florida did one of the few studies looking at your chances of dying sudden death from a heart attack after the vaccine, and the risk was 81% higher in the first month, telling us there may be some deaths out there that were inappropriately ascribed, because you can't put vaccine-related death on the death certificate. So we're not tracking this.
What needed scientific curiosity we're hearing right now, and what needed information that you're going to get in so few places. Dr. Makary, it's always great to talk to you and hear not a unique perspective, but how about a unique approach? One that still would remain, at least used to remain, or used to be described as scientific. Thank you, Dr. Makary.
Thanks, Will.
All right.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.